It's last call for a Springfield bar. Good evening, I'm Ashley Ketz. Nighttime near West Bypass in Division will close. The owner blames the smoking ban. New at 10, Color 10's Kevin Schwaller joins us live there to show the mood. Kevin?
Well, it's quiet here now. Earlier in the day, though, friends and patrons came out to say goodbye. They've been sharing stories around these tables for the last 20 years. We went behind the bar and found this on a shelf. It's an empty bottle, and it's staying empty. That's because Super Bowl Sunday will be night times last night.
It's my life.
When the smoke cleared, so did Jim Knight's customers.
Probably down 50, 60%. And sometimes more.
Knight owns Nighttime Bar. Patrons here once talked about problems in politics over a glass and a smoke.
Bye, Steve.
These days, more glasses are left empty, save for the recent burst of goodbye toasts.
So my friends are coming in here to wish me good luck and to thank me for all the years and all the good times that they had. And they're going to miss this place.
And not even the $8,000 it took to put in this back porch could save this place.
We all come here. This is our bar.
Leonard Meese started coming here several years ago.
Leonard that you interviewed, Bud Light bottle, always.
It's a place where they know your name and your drink.
Yesterday was especially rough.
Diana Berkey will soon be out of a job.
Well, this is my home. You know, I've worked here 13 years. This is my family. Not sure what I'm going to do without them, seeing them every day.
This family doesn't like the smoking ban. 2 elections, though, show most Springfield voters do like it. We caught up with Mike Lovacic at another Springfield bar.
When you come in to eat with your family and other things that you don't have to worry about, you know, smell of smoke or it damaging your family's future.
What's good for some, Jim Knight says wasn't good for him. He thought about his granddaughter.
Her 21st birthday was in here, and her first birthday was in here.
This year, she'll have to find someplace else to celebrate 22. The city today did not immediately have numbers for us to show the economic impact up to this point. 2 votes have supported the ban, and courts have upheld it. Countries can print money, they can take loans, and also loan to other nations, and they can even outgrow debt. The ideas can seem abstract. Tonight, we look at the numbers like a family would to try to help you relate. The numbers are monumental. This is a visualization that comes close to what the national debt is today. Some groups are trying to bring the numbers down to something more recognizable.
I think that we're in a lot of trouble. You know, if this were a household, if this were just a family, my family, your family, anybody's family, yeah, you'd be in big trouble.
That's Drury accounting student Brad Ray.
We have to exercise fiscal responsibility. We have to, so, you know, I believe that the federal government should have to do the same thing.
He's reacting to some numbers we showed him.
Oh, yeah,
You may have seen emails or Facebook posts with figures similar to this. This is one from a Tea Party group. It aims to make the government's debt and deficits look like a home budget. We looked over the numbers with a couple of economists, got data from the Treasury Department and St. Louis Fed, and came up with a similar chart based on the last fiscal year. Now just chop off a few zeros and the numbers look more like a household budget. Income, $24,500. That person or family would have spent more than $35,000 in a year taking on new debts. That kind of spending is like having $161,000 in credit card debt. Now consider this. Congress is looking at sequestration budget cuts, which are considered dramatic. If they go through, it would only cut this household spending by $1,000 this year.
Ooh. Cut down on it.
Steve Walton is getting his taxes done.
That I've worked hard to earn it, and I don't know where it's going.
Could you live on that? Would that work? That much debt?
Oh, no.
Didn't get it last year.
Walton is a groundskeeper at Evangel University. We asked Ray if this was an individual. How are we looking?
You'd be in terrible shape.
The two are they're similar in that they're using, you know, the words debt and deficits and things like that, but that's kind of where the comparison basically ends.
The director of the Missouri Bureau of Economic Research at Missouri State University, David Mitchell, cautions the debt of a government is much different than that of a family.
So when you look at the balance, when you look at the net, you know, holdings, it's actually not as bad as it seems, although it is a problem that needs to be addressed, but it's not like, oh my gosh, the whole the economy is going to collapse tomorrow.
So here's a look at the national debt, more than $16 trillion. If you look here, though, nearly $5 trillion of that the government owes within itself through programs such as Social Security. Now, the more than $11 trillion here that's left is held by the public, and a lot of that is owned by taxpayers, corporations, and others.
The other half is owned by China and Japan for the most part. So they've lent us money, but we've also lent them money too.
For every dollar in foreign claims, the U.S. has 85 cents in claims on other countries. Still, U.S. taxpayer dollars in the future will then be going to other nations rather than staying here in U.S. communities. Now this becomes the basis for the next round of talks about spending. If the government doesn't act by March 1st, $1.2 trillion in automatic cuts are set to hit the federal government. Dr. Mitchell has concerns about ballooning entitlement spending. He believes that deserves more attention than cuts to discretionary spending, such as defense. And interest rates for the U.S. right now are cheap, sometimes cheaper than free when you take into account inflation. Some believe running a deficit and a debt isn't a bad thing. They believe investment is needed to kickstart the economy. Finally, one of the most important numbers in this that we haven't mentioned so far is gross domestic product, or the size of the economy. You have an idea now of the size of the debt. Economists typically look at that figure, though, compared to GDP. Right now, the debt is around 100% of GDP, the highest level since the end of World War II.
The state of Missouri, companies and individuals are accessing and selling your personal information. Good evening, I'm Ashley Katz.
And I'm David Oliver. Good to have you joining us here in a special report tonight. Our Kevin Schwaller investigates the information trade. Kevin, where are places gathering all this?
Shopping, driving, filling out forms, and getting on social media can all feed into this system. Any number of things you do every day can help build a profile of you that you never see. Tonight, we explore the world of privacy for sale. How much do you know about Shane Dodson? He uses social media, and he's selective about what he reveals.
I try to keep it limited, no phone numbers, email I don't use.
Despite his efforts, there is likely information about him out there Dodson doesn't know about. Companies are collecting a much more extensive profile than your Facebook page, one you can't see. It goes beyond a bio. Try social security number, criminal history, home value, net worth, your religion, interests, and much more.
Their activities, their friends, their friendships, their romantic lives are all being tracked in excruciating detail on the internet. It's pretty clear that probably not even your spouse knows how much the internet knows about you.
That's the founder and CEO of Reputation.com, Michael Fairtick.
Reputation.com protects your privacy and reputation on the internet.
Fairtick says you may check terms of service to okay this trade, or businesses can find some information elsewhere.
And so the guys who are buying and selling this information without your knowledge or permission and selling it to people you can't identify for purposes you can never know, what they say is, hey, this is lawful, this is okay, because the rules say that we're allowed to collect this, what's called publicly available data.
Some of that comes from the driver's license office.
I just moved here from Massachusetts a couple weeks ago.
Dodson is getting his Missouri license after moving here from Massachusetts. That means Missouri can sell his information with some limits.
Your personal information, the government, selling your stuff to who knows? For what reason?
Which brings us here to Jefferson City.
Think they need the whole list?
State Representative Chris Kelly says he'd like to make it illegal for Missouri to sell your information, and at a minimum, he'd like to stop other companies from reselling it.
There are 4,700 buyers out there, data miners and junk mail people, and there's legitimate uses like insurance companies and things like that. But there's really no limit on it at all, no reasonable limit, because the stuff is so easy to resell.
So we made an official request for records from the Missouri Department of Revenue, and we found that companies and individuals are making hundreds of thousands of requests each year for your personal information.
We basically charge what it costs us to produce that information.
That comes out to nearly $2.3 million during the last 2 fiscal years. Missouri Department of Revenue spokesperson Ted Farnan says the department is following state and federal mandates. Under those laws, insurance companies, businesses doing research, employers, towing companies, private investigators, and others are allowed to get your information. It's more difficult for bulk mailers to obtain it.
Our Compliance and Investigation Bureau can investigate that application. We can turn it down. We have done that before. If we find that people are not using the information for the reasons they've said, that's also something that we can take action on.
Now, there are theoretical rules about that, but they're all self-enforcing. I went to buy the list, and I just had to fill out a form and say what I would and wouldn't do. There's no way to prove what I did or didn't do. It's just absolutely an open market on personal information.
The addresses and names on the license are one piece in a patchwork, all about you. Fairtech says the material isn't just for marketing. Increasingly, companies are using it for more substantial purposes.
And the roadmap includes things like how to assess your healthcare insurance premiums, whether to give you a certain kind of job, whether to extend you credit and on what terms, what prices to charge you for e-commerce goods.
Kind of scary because, I mean, they'll just compile what they want.
The Revenue Department wasn't able to give us an example of any place at a license office it tells drivers their information may be sold, and it wasn't aware of any way for most of us to keep those records private.
Kevin joins us now. So is all this legal?
The short answer is yes here. The Department of Revenue is following the laws as they exist. 97% of the money that comes into the state through this is supposed to go into the highway fund. Social Security numbers and photos are also much more restricted. The state can't give out that information unless it's for a criminal investigation, for example. However, the Federal Trade Commission is looking in to the major players in the data broker industry.